Alright, due to the quarantine, we're not able to film at any cool locations, so we're in my backyard just like a lot of people right now. So I was going through a bunch of my old stuff, and I thought it would be fun to do a video of all the old crap that we used to bring back in the day. This is one for the old timers to reminisce a little bit, and for the youngsters to laugh at how stupid we were. But we had a lot of fun back in the day. And we had a lot more of the mountains to ourselves back in the day too. Now it wasn't as popular back then. So I don't have all my stuff. I wish I did, but I have a lot of it. And first of all, in the old days, there wasn't a lot of specialty stores. The clothes consisted of whatever we had laying around: flannel shirts, wool, a couple pairs of cotton socks to stay warm on snowy days, canvas, blue jean, denim, and wool were kind of the kings of clothing back in the day. And we carried a lot of heavy, crappy, dangerous, cottony stuff too. But we survived. And in those days, some of the external frame with an aluminum frame on it, we looked at that as an attachment point. We never looked at weight in the day. We looked at if it's small enough to fit in there. Can I strap it on? It wasn't uncommon for us to carry 70-pound stuff, 70-pound loads into the backcountry when I was 20 years old. I would die if I had to do that now. But let me show you some of the stuff we used to use. First of all, my old sleeping system. I didn't own a tent till I was in my late 20s. And I backpacked all over the Sierra. My sleeping system consisted of a terrible sleeping bag and a tarp that I laid on top of. We always cowboy camped. And our camping trips always consisted of sitting around a fire. And if you got cold, you stoked the fire in the middle of the night. There'd be 3 or 4 guys around a fire ring. In a lot of these areas we used to do that. You can't even have fires anymore. But if it rained, the tarp you slept on, cowboy camp style, you just pulled over the top of you. It was just like a nylon tarp. Nylon was this newfangled high-tech material that was waterproof. It was amazing. Or you found a rock or a tree, or we didn't sleep much when it rained. But it never stopped us from going. So this is my original pad from the 70s. We called this an Insulate pad. It's got to be a good 1/4 inch thick. This is what I slept on for 10 years. Sleeping bags. In the day, canvas sleeping bags. If you've never slept in a canvas sleeping bag, the smell of a canvas sleeping bag. This is actually a newer one, but the canvas material with the soft inside, they are just wonderful. I don't know if you can read that, but this sleeping bag weighs 16 pounds. This is actually a double that me and my wife sleep on when we go car camping. Minus 12 degree rating. This thing is awesome. I love it for car camping. But obviously backpacking, we used to use the one-man canvas bags that probably weighed 6-7 pounds. And we just strapped them on the pack. Then this new tech nylon came out. This is cotton filled with a nylon shell. Probably a temperature rating of 55 degrees. I slept at this below 0 before. Froze my butt off. But that was just what you did in the day. So, thank God for new modern technology. The shoes we wore in the day. God, I wish I had some of them. My last pair, I burned drying them off by a campfire. I prefer these Dunham leather boots. I'm not kidding that they weighed 4 pounds of boot with these huge lug soles. This I would consider a heavy boot these days. This is a Lola Renegade, pretty common boot, pretty lightweight. I think it's overkill for long backpacking trips. I use this more for camping and fishing because they're waterproof. I don't use waterproof boots anymore. A lot of people think this is a heavy boot. A lot of people are using trail runners. These are the Merrell Moabs. I have to have the high top because I have bad ankles. I'm old. I'm going to be 61 here in a month. The higher ankle helps, and these are pretty lightweight, pretty common all-around hiking boot. I like them. I can't go with the ultralight, and these are non-waterproof, very breathable. if you have to, you can walk through a stream, get them wet, and they dry out. So that's what I use now. But God, these old hiking boots. Danner, I think Danner still makes them. We loved our gigantic boots, but we didn't realize that every pound on the foot was like 5 pounds in the back in the day. But yeah, I melted mine next to a campfire. So here's one for you old timers, right here. The old Sierra Cup. Every backpacker in the 70s had these. You could boil water on them, you cooked by them, or you ate in them. You dipped water straight from the stream. We didn't have water purifiers in the day. You go, hey, that's coming down from a mountain. It's got to be good. And you'd scoop it out and drink it. It's got an attachment point. Kind of cool, nostalgic. I occasionally bring it camping and stuff, but it's just too heavy. So that's what we used in the old days. So we carried a lot of these flasks. If you watch my video about how to carry your booze in the wilderness, this is kind of heavy and it's empty. Now I use mouthwash bottles, work great. So back in the day, we didn't look at weight. We looked at how small you can make it. And this was like, whoa, a collapsible handle. I can shove this in my backpack. This is anodized aluminum. Really nice frying pan, but it's freaking heavy. Believe it or not, we used to use the Lodge iron skillets, because we used to go catch we do a lot of fishing. One guy had to bring the Lodge skillets, and that's how we cooked. And we didn't use stoves. We cooked on the campfire. And it's ridiculous that we used to carry that stuff. I actually still bring this. This is a lighter weight aluminum one with the still really cool collapsible handle, and I use this to cook trout with. It's pretty light. I don't bring it on long trips. We'll figure out other ways to cook fish, but on 3-4 day weekenders, it's pretty nice to have to cook trout. But then we came into the 80s. So let's finish this cooking thing. We came into the 80s, late 80s, and we got these compact cooking systems. I don't know how compact this is. This is a collector's item now. Coleman Peak 1 stove. I still use this camping. It opens up, weighs a ton, and there's some kind of special fuel. Problem is you can't get these anymore. The old Power Max fuels. This thing was great, but look at the size of this thing. It's pretty heavy. The fuel container's 11 ounces, and I don't know, this is probably a couple pounds. But love this thing. Can't part ways with it because I still use it camping. It was given to me as a gift from a group of people I used to supervise back in the old days, so that was a cool gift. So speaking of compactability, if it folded, we would bring it. Spatula, it folds. I had to get this thing. Look at that, it's compact. I don't bring this anymore. I just use my Spork or something. Here's my Spork. I really like this brand of Spork. This is an Msr Spork. It's really small, really light, and it's long. I love the long Spork, and I would fry fish with this and just use this as a spatula too. You gotta get a long Spork to get to the bottom of those Mountain House meals. So, one of my favorite pieces of gear right there. Cooking system was the pots and pans. I was using this as recently as 10 years ago. It's a Primus. I don't know what this thing is made out of, but this is probably 3.5 pounds. Heavy duty. Got 2 pans. These things are great. I still use them, but I use them in car camping when I can drive up in car camp. But it's just ridiculously heavy. I remember taking these to my daughter's first trip up the top of Mount Whitney. We went the back way up over Kearsarge in about a 50-mile trip. And I remember the first night she was younger, and she was really worried about bears. And see the weight savings and the compactness of this? It doesn't have a handle. You use this. I remember the first night I was cooking up some pasta, and I went to pour the pasta out to serve it, and I dropped the whole thing on a rock. There was pasta and sauce everywhere in camp. I don't think she slept that night. She thought the bears were coming. This is upper Vedette Meadow, which is a big bear area, but we actually didn't see any. Knives is another one. I can't find any. I used to collect buck knives that were this long. We always carried gigantic knives. Why? I don't know. You don't need much of a knife. Just something a little small like this is what I carry now. It's good for cleaning fish, cutting cordage. That's about it. I'm not going to be fighting off any bears or anything with this thing. So that's what we used back in the day. You old timers will get off on this one too. Good old paper maps from the United States Geographic Survey. I started collecting these things when I was in my teens in the late 60s, early 70s. So I lived in the Bay Area. There was a United States Geographic Survey located in Menlo Park. I would actually go to the source. They'd have drawers of these things, and we would get so excited to get a new map. They're paper. They're not very durable, so you'd put them in a Ziploc bag. I don't know if they had invented Ziplocs back in those days. But this is the way you got around. Back in those days, you needed to know how to use a compass and a map to get around. So we didn't have electronics. So these maps were invaluable. I love these things. So it was always exciting to get a new map. We would sit around the week before and go over the maps and look at possible side trips and off-trail stuff we could do. So good old maps. Now they've been replaced with things like Tom Harrison or All Trails or electronic stuff, but I always still bring a compass along and always have a map of where I'm going. So this is another old school thing right here. This is what we used to sustain the fantasy that if a rattlesnake bit us in the backcountry, this would save our lives. I've never been bitten by a rattlesnake, but I've been bitten by other snakes. I've stepped over a rattlesnake and got real close. I've stepped over a rattling rattlesnake once up above Lake Vernon, as a matter of fact, up in Yosemite. So what these would do, the old theory was you got bit by a snake, you make slices, there's some antiseptic in here, and you'd slice open the wound, and then you would stick this suction on there, and it would suck out the venom. Nowadays, of course, you just have a friend suck out the venom for you. Actually, that's not what you're supposed to do. Now you're supposed to keep the victim calm and call for help, and elevate things away from the heart and all that. But snake bite kits, they're really not functional anymore. So don't even think about cutting yourself open and causing an infection and cause worse harm. So last item I can think of, I bought this in 1975, and this still comes with me on a lot of trips. And this is an awesome thing. I've never seen anything like it. It weighs about a pound, and it's a hammock. It's really hard to get into, but you just need 2 trees to tie off, and you just spread out this netting. This thing is 75, 85, 40, 45 years old, and it still works. They don't make them like they used to, right? So you just climb into this netting, and it's great. I can take naps in it, sleep in it. Back before hammock camping was invented, we used to try and sleep in these things, but we didn't have the right gear, and it got really cold. But I bought this at a grocery store, as a matter of fact, back in the old days. There used to be this grocery store called Co-op. It was a hippie grocery store, so they had an outdoor gear section back in the Bay Area days, during the hippie days. 1975. So those are some of my old things. Tell me what some of the stuff you guys still have around or still use in the comments. And yeah, tell me about your old memories and how you survived ridiculously cold nights with the worst gear in the world. But now that I'm, some of you youngins might not be able to afford the good gear that I have now. My backpacking kit's probably $1,500 worth of gear, but you can round up a decent amount of gear for a few $100s to get by, and you youngins can get by until you can afford the good stuff. But thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll be able to get out and use this stuff soon. It's mid-May, mid-April. Just for my input, I'm guessing July 1st. Let's just go out on a limb. You can't make predictions without scientific facts. Some people don't understand that, but I'm gonna just guess that by hopefully mid-July, the trails in the Sierra will be open. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we'll be out there trying out our modern day gear very soon. So yeah, share your ideas, and thanks for watching. Happy trails.